So, my first video was serious. My second video was kind of a joke, trying to be sarcastic. I might stick with that pattern. Go serious, then stupid, serious, stupid. But Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Jury just finished making closing arguments. And watching that trial was reminded me of everything we went through in 2020 and just the level of evil and depravity that we witnessed that summer. And then when I saw the Travis Scott concert the other night, it made me think that maybe there's some kind of a connection with all the different things going on. So if anybody that read the accounts from Travis Scott, everybody that went, that put like videos up saying what they experienced while they were there, it was almost like unanimous that everybody that went felt like there were demons there, and they felt like they were in hell being suffocated, and Travis Scott seemed like he was possessed. And I think that all kind of links up with what's going on in the church somehow. So one of my favorite things to study is typology. Typology is when events in the Old Testament foreshadow the New. So Jesus was foreshadowed by Moses. So when Moses is born, a call goes out to kill all newborn infants. When Jesus is born, a call goes out to kill all newborn infants. Moses escapes to Egypt. Jesus escapes to Egypt. You got Moses fasts for 40 days in the desert. Jesus fasts for 40 days in the desert. This is a pattern throughout all of Scripture that if you read the New Testament in light of the Old, you see the Old Testament is fulfilled through these events. So if you look at the first time Christ came, you look at how the Jewish people prefigure the Catholic people. The Sanhedrin prefigures the bishops and cardinals, and the high priest prefigures the Pope. So if you keep that in mind and you think about what happened the first time Christ came, it kind of makes things in today's situation seem a little more understandable. So a lot of people debate if Pope Francis is really the Pope, maybe Benedict's the Pope. And that's a good question, but if you look at what happened in the first century, who was it that crucified Christ? It was the Sanhedrin, and the high priest colluded with Rome. So what do we see going on today? You see the hierarchy and the Pope colluding with, it's not Rome, but it's the UN, which is basically what's shaping up to be the new Rome, the new beast that's coming about. So if you look at the events from the first century and then put that in light of the apocalypse. So even reading from the apocalypse, you get, okay, let's see. So I'm going to give you a couple of verses from the apocalypse and then some of the commentary from the fathers. So the third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters become wormwood, and many died from the water because it was made bitter. And now the commentary. Let me just switch that. The name wormwood denotes a bitter and poisonous nature. This vision is a striking image of unfaithful bishops and priests. Christ gives us the living water, while these men give us poisonous water. Countless faithful drink from these streams of poisonous water. They embrace false doctrine and they perish. The next verse in the Apocalypse. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light was darkened, and a third of the day was kept from shining, and likewise the night. The commentary. That's Revelation 8. The commentary. The thoughts of many hearts are being revealed more and more as the gospel is preached throughout the world. Many reject it, others abandon it. There's a growing decadence in the church. Its doctrine and sanctity shine with diminished luster. The day is less brilliant. The night of ignorance becomes much darker. This is symbolized by the darkening of the stars and the moon. So if Christ is the light of the world, and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never overcome it. But what's going on now is that light is being diminished because of false teaching and doctrines that tickle people's ears. Next verse. I think we're on Revelation 9 now. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to the earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened, and the smoke from the shaft, with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given authority like the authority of scorpions of the earth. So that's Revelation 9. So if you look at when St. John wrote this, he was writing about events that were happening at that time, and he's also prophesying about what will happen at the end of the world. So when Christ finally appeared, the Jewish Sanhedrin turned the people of Jerusalem against him. They are the stars that fell from heaven and poisoned the waters. The high priest then led the assault on the Messiah and encouraged the false prophets. The best way to interpret this is that the high priest is the fallen star who opened the bottomless pit. He was supposed to be sitting on the chair of Moses, and he's supposed to be leading the Jewish people, and instead he opens a bottomless pit, which allows demons to flood the earth. This vision notes a period of exceptional gravity for the church. So that was in the first century. So if you look at it as a foreshadowing event, this vision notes a period of exceptional gravity for the church. A priest or bishop who teaches heresy can be compared to a star who falls from heaven, but in this case, the star refers to a particular person whose revolt from the church shall lead directly to the reign of the Antichrist. So the Antichrist in the first century was Nero, but just looking at the role of the high priest and the Sanhedrin, you can see how that role is going to play itself out again. So if you look at who has the keys, I mean, the Pope has the keys, and he opens the key to the bottomless pit. All right. And I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should no more seduce the nations till the 1,000 years be finished. And after that, he shall be loosed for a little time. So you're looking at in the first century that happened, and now you have Christendom building up these ramparts throughout the earth. You have masses being said, you have processions happening, you have incense being offered. This literally were ramparts built up around the world to ward off demons. We would have our saints would go in and they would crush idols, and these demons were literally put to rest. They were thrown into the bottomless pit as Christendom spread. So in the end, as the great apostasy happens, those demons are going to come back. And then once the bottomless pit is opened with the key, those demons are going to flood the earth. So what you're seeing in a situation like Travis Scott or even the riots of 2020, these demons are running amok on the earth. The carnival is over. For the past 70 years, since the sexual revolution, it's been mayhem what we're doing. Like, we have literally thrown away our Christian heritage. You have babies being murdered by the millions at this point. You don't get to, if you think about what the idols in the old before Christ came, and even in the New World before we discovered it, so much of it had to do with human sacrifice. And the thing is, when those demons come back, they're going to come back. Like Christ says, when you get rid of a demon, if and you sweep the house clean, like when it comes back sevenfold. So those demons, which they were sacrificing humans to, are going to come back. So when they come back, they're going to come back 7 times worse. We're going to see mayhem like we've never seen. The carnival is over, and we're coming up on times that are going to be like nothing we've ever seen. There's a weird line in John's gospel in John 18 where he says, and they led him away to Annas first. He was the father-in-law to Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. That's like a little dig, because the high priest was supposed to be high priest for life. And they had been colluding with Rome to set up their own high priest in there, one that would be favorable to Rome. And it just seems strange with what we're looking at now, with what's going on, how Pope Benedict's there and Francis is there. And it's almost like the powers of Rome helped collude to get Francis elected. I don't know that. I mean, if you read Julia Maloney's book, it certainly seems that way. I don't know. It doesn't. Well, she really gets into the cardinals colluding, but it seems like they wanted to get someone who would be much friendlier to this agenda that they're putting forward. So the papacy is supposed to be for life. And just like John was pointing out and throwing that little dig, it seems like we're looking at a comparable situation, almost like it was a foreshadowing event. I don't know that. Then you also have the Fatima prophecy where it says we saw a bishop in white. We thought this was the Pope. I don't know who else it would be, unless it's somebody, an imposter posing as the Pope. But there's also going to come a time where we will hear in Revelation 18 it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, go out from her, my people, that you may not be partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Lord hath remembered her iniquities. So I don't know. There was a point in the old in the old covenant where when the temple was destroyed, the the people of the old covenant were told by Jesus, when you see the desolation of abomination, run from Judea and run from, that's it. That's the end. So there was a time where God told the Jewish people, come out of her and don't partake of her sins anymore. Is there going to be an event like that for us? So I don't know what to make of all of it. I only know little bits and pieces, and I try to put everything in perspective in light of the events that have foreshadowed what we're facing now. So I think a lot of people make this actually helped keep me in the church, because when Francis came into the papacy, like after like 2 years of watching his nonsense, it was hard to stay in the church, and I just stopped going to mass for a while. And then I had an illumination of conscience after about 2 years of not going to mass, and I was bad mouthing Francis and priests and saying things like, how do these guys call themselves fathers? They don't teach the faith. Look at all the stuff they're caught up in. And I just got hit like a ton of bricks that I hadn't taken my children to mass in 2 years, and I wasn't teaching them the faith, and I was living one way and talking another, and my whole fatherhood got called into question. And it was the greatest mercy I'd ever received. It was like, who was I to say anything about anybody's fatherhood when my own fatherhood was so questionable at this time? And that's what wound up leading me back into the church. Was that it was like, I mean, I didn't sleep for a week. I went to confession and I still couldn't believe, like, it was a very, very strange time for me. And that was probably about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Yeah, probably about that. But part of what helped me come to grips with the situation we're facing now is just kind of trying to view things in light of what happened before. So I don't know if that's going to help anybody. I don't know if it's going to make everybody feel even more stressed out. I don't know if it's going to be a nightmare for you guys. I have no idea. And I don't know if anything that I just said is accurate. I am, some people, I know Taylor Marshall says he's just a dad with a microphone. Well, I'm a high school dropout with a microphone. And I don't know if you can trust anything I'm saying. I'm just kind of guessing as I go along here. But last time I did a show, I got a phone call from Jeremiah Bannister from Paleocrat Diaries. And he told me my books in the back look like they're about to swallow me up. And he told me I have a very unprofessional outfit I'm running over here. And I don't disagree. But this is what is going to have to happen for a little while until I get things a little better situated. So for the time being, you guys are stuck with a crappy setup until I get myself a new computer and a new camera, new microphone, all that. I'm not even sure if I'm going to stick with this, doing this. We'll see how this goes. But if you guys do like this, hit like, subscribe, send it around. I don't know. I think that's what everybody says. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.